Good day, everyone. My name is Sofia Meiti Medalla, and today I will be discussing community wastes, the nitrogen cycle. First of all, what is nitrogen? So, nitrogen is a gaseous element that makes up 78% of the atmosphere. It is everywhere. And why is that? It is in the air we breathe and the food we eat. Even in the human body, nitrogen is present. So, this is because nitrogen is used to make amino acids, and that amino acids are used to make protein. That protein then is used to build and repair tissues, make enzymes, hormones, and body chemicals. In the nitrogen cycle, nitrogen comes in different forms such as nitrate, nitrite, ammonia, ammonium, and the nitrogen gas. Later in the presentation, you will know how all of these are connected. So nitrogen is one of the elements belonging to the biogeochemical cycle, where a substance moves the abiotic and biotic compartments of Earth. Other elements like carbon, water, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur also belong to the biogeochemical cycle. The nitrogen cycle is governed by 5 steps. These are nitrogen fixation, ammonification, nitrification, assimilation, and denitification. So taking a look at the diagram, nitrogen is first observed as a gas. Through nitrogen fixation, it turns to ammonia. Through nitrification, the ammonia turns to either nitrite or nitrate. And assimilation happens when plants take up that nitrate. Ammonification happens when animals excrete urine and feces containing nitrogen in the form of ammonium. Nitrogen then returns back to the atmosphere through denitrification. Let's discuss these steps in more detail. Through nitrogen fixation, molecular nitrogen is converted to ammonia or ammonium. This is made possible through the presence of diazotrophs. Diazotrophs are bacteria or archaea that grow without external sources of fixed nitrogen. The organisms use the enzyme nitrogenase to catalyze nitrogen fixation. Many of these bacteria only live in anaerobic conditions, underneath the surface, because nitrogenase is sensitive to oxygen. And so, the ammonia and ammonium produced in this process can now be utilized by plants or made into nitrates or nitrites through nitrification. Nitrification involves 2 steps. This is the conversion of ammonium to nitrite and the oxidation of nitrite to nitrate. In this process, nitrate serves as the end product that is utilized by plants because nitrites can be toxic to plants. Nitrification is made possible by nitrifying bacteria, which allow the conversion of ammonia to either nitrite or nitrate. Nitrosomonas is the name of the bacteria that facilitates the conversion of ammonia to nitrite, while Nitrobacter is the bacteria that converts nitrites to nitrates. Assimilation happens when plants absorb the ammonium from nitrogen fixation and the nitrate from nitrification and utilize this for their plant development and the creation of their own amino acids and DNA. However, in animals, they cannot absorb nitrates directly. They eat plants or plant-consuming animals to get their share of nitrogen. For us humans, we could eat either plants or animals to get our share of nitrogen. In ammonification, waste products such as urine, feces, and the decay of organic matter become the source of nitrogen. Through decomposers, the organic nitrogen found in the waste products are turned into inorganic nitrogen in the form of ammonia and ammonium salts. Through nitrification, that ammonium is converted into a form that can be assimilated by plants. For the last step, we have denitrification. So denitrification is the process by which nitrogen returns to the atmosphere in its gaseous form. This process is facilitated by denitrifying bacteria, which converts nitrates into atmospheric nitrogen. With the increasing population, the demand for food rises along with it. And since nitrogen is a necessary component for plant growth, ammonium nitrate fertilizers were developed to meet the rising demand of food. Although it is an artificial solution, it manages to feed 40% of the world population, as it increases the rate of growth, nutrition, and the yield of plants. The thing about being dependent on this type of fertilizer is that it could lead to misuse. Misuse in terms of excessiveness and ignorance of its potentially detrimental effects in the environment. If used excessively, the plant's ability to fruit and flower will be reduced. Used without precaution, nitrogen runoff from farms may find its way to bodies of water. So why is nitrogen runoff bad? Well, although aquatic life also requires a nitrogen source, an excess can harm water bodies through eutrophication. Aquatic life get their share of nitrogen through decaying matter on the bottom of the bodies of water, through precipitation and atmospheric deposition as well. With all these sources of nitrogen, how is an excess of this in the form of nitrogen runoff bad? Well, eutrophication is defined as an excess of nutrients in bodies of water, causing a dense growth of plant life and subsequently the death of animal life from lack of oxygen. As seen in the picture, algal blooms a huge portion of the shoreline, a sign of eutrophication. The algae growth deprives aquatic life of oxygen and blocks the sunlight needed by aquatic plants for survival. Oxygen levels would become depleted, and then these bodies of water would be classified as dead zones, which are hypoxic or low oxygen areas that fail to support marine life. This would also pose a problem for the fishing industries, tourism, and human health in the form of shellfish and seafood poisoning. That is because algal toxins can accumulate in seafood and viable areas for drinking water because it increases the cost of water treatment. Nitrogen pollution also occurs in the form of oil spills because this damages water quality due to the hydrocarbons found in oil spills that have been proven to be toxic to nitrifying bacteria and ammonia oxidizing bacteria. This inhibits the nitrification process. The nitrification and nitrification are also affected. So the nitrifying bacteria are proven to be resistant to hydrocarbons. Therefore, the rate of nitrogen elimination in the water is reduced, and it affects the nitrogen turnover in these bodies of water. Sewage treatment plants can also contribute to nitrogen runoff in bodies of water. Aside from this, the waste treatment process produces emissions that returns nitrogen back into the atmosphere and produces nitrogen-containing sludge that can leach into the soil. Again, our main concern is the excess in nitrogen. The emissions occur in the form of nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gases are gases that block the Earth's heat, preventing its escape into space. Greenhouse gases are large contributors to global warming. It is a threat to our sustainability. Nitrous oxide has 300 times the potential than that of carbon dioxide, and is considered as one of the most powerful greenhouse gases. Therefore, it is imperative that these unnatural sources of nitrogen be addressed. Aside from this, the livestock industry contribute to the excessive use of ammonium nitrate fertilizers. Due to the high demand of food by the increasing world population, the amount of livestock increased, and subsequently, the reliance on synthetic fertilizers for the production of animal feed. The livestock industry contributes to nitrogen pollution because of improper manure disposal or the nitrous oxide emissions during manure treatment. In our communities, nitrogen pollution is seen in the form of polluted rivers, filled with human wastes and garbage. Farmers who do not know any better may also unknowingly cause nitrogen runoff. So if we teach the community about proper waste disposal and the deleterious effects that occur due to misguided disposals, we would be able to control the nitrogen pollution in our community. Guidance and guidelines with regards to use of synthetic fertilizers should also be given to farmers and farming associations for them to be able to make informed decisions. For manufacturers of synthetic fertilizers, they must take a new approach. There are existing studies about ways to reduce nitrous oxide emissions during processing, and once confirmed, the manufacturers must be ready to adapt. This is to say that the government should also prioritize our agricultural sector, increasing the national budget and creating more job opportunities so that the country would be able to increase yield and quality of produce and boost the economy, but without forsaking the environmental impacts that come along with it. As consumers of animal and plant products, we must be informed of the environmental impacts of our preference in food. We should know that our dietary choices fuel the livestock industry, and that same industry is killing the environment. While the population keeps on growing, so does the demand for food. I envision that someday, policies would be set in place in every country in the world for regulating their population sizes, because we must understand that many of the resources we need for survival are finite, and we as humans must take the necessary action to ensure that our future generations will be able to thrive and live a good life with the legacy that we left behind. Ending my presentation, I will leave you a quote from Arnold Glasow saying, "An idea not coupled with action will never get any bigger than the brain cell it occupied." Now, I urge all of you to take action.